You're resting in the chair with your eyes closed, and you may notice your eyes, even wish to open them from time to time. And that's fine, because I really wouldn't want you to not go into a trance too quickly. So much easier simply to allow that feeling in a shoulder, in a hand, to continue as you listen to the sounds of my voice, the sounds in the room, the sounds outside the room, other voices, other rooms, while you pay close attention to the changes in an arm, a hand, and wonder if you are going to be able to go into a trance, while your conscious mind has already begun to drift down, to let go for a time, allowing the body to relax the mind, to relax with it, without knowing at times how much more comfortable you really can become. And sooner or later, everyone's had the experience of falling asleep while watching television, paying close attention to the storyline, just closing the eyes a moment to rest quietly, hearing the music, listening to the voices, in that comfortably relaxed way. When a word or a phrase reminds you of a particular memory, and you drift, dream away for a time, come back to the words again, drift, dream away again, until the words and the music become a soothing sound in the background of the mind, just for a time, and the unconscious mind continues to hear everything of importance to you, while the conscious mind may not notice that you need not listen to everything I say, because you've known all along how much easier it is to learn something when you're relaxed. Though I wouldn't want you to relax too deeply at first. So much more important for you to recognize the small changes, tiny changes, barely noticeable, happening in your breathing, in your pulse, in the relaxation of the face, in a feeling of comfort, security. Because your unconscious will choose to relax your little finger before those feelings begin in a thumb. Or perhaps your wrist will be the handiest place to begin relaxing. But the conscious mind can enjoy being curious about exactly where those feelings will begin. If you drop a pebble into a pool of water, the water flows in ripples on the surface, but just below the surface of awareness, the pebble drifts down. And as that pebble drifts down, past the water animals, drifting down past the water plants, gently floating down, nothing is disturbed as it slowly comes to rest on the bottom of the quiet pool. Even the surface ripples become slower and quieter, and beneath the surface, all is still, calm. And you could recognize your ability to relax and comfortably reflect upon your problems in a certain way, remembering those times when you were sure things were one way, and they turned out to be something else entirely. Perhaps as a child, learning that library is really library, or telling the difference between feet and feet, changing old beliefs, learning new meanings, new ways of doing things. And I wonder if those new feelings, those hypnotic feelings, will stay the same or continue to deepen even more as you try to remember everything I've said to you about those TV dreams and pebbles that drift down, sometimes more quickly, sometimes more slowly. I wonder if you've ever seen the small, fragile glass figurines that artisans sell at fairs and in shopping malls, made of tiny strands of clear, bright glass, all carefully laced together to form the shape of a ship or an animal, or even a house or a tree, that seem to fascinate children with their delicate sparkles and shapes, like priceless jewels, valuable possessions, to be carried in velvet cases and protected, kept safe from loss or damage. Tiny treasures, a gift to someone, like the treasure carried in ships across the sea. There was a program on TV several years ago about a man who spent 20 years searching for such a ship, a lost treasure ship, one of hundreds that had been lost along the coast because of accidents and disasters and wars. He researched it very carefully and thought he knew exactly what had been lost. He also thought he knew what had happened and where the treasure had sunk. But it was hard to find that ship. It had been lost for so long. It had gotten buried with mud and coral, and there were many other wrecks in the area, any one of which could have been the one, but wasn't. So he spent many years searching, and he raised thousands of dollars from investors because he was convinced there was something of great value down there. Lost treasure of immeasurable worth. And he convinced others it was there too. Family, friends, and the divers who worked with him searched for it year after year, until finally one day the divers returned to the surface, shouting and screaming and holding up gold bars. They had found that ship, and it contained more than you can imagine. Tons of gold bars, silver bars, gold coins, precious jewels and elaborate jewelry, priceless objects, treasure untold, things from the past that had gone untouched, that had not been seen for hundreds of years, suddenly were there for people to hold and to feel. And they held them with reverence, touching them gently and silently, as if these things had been lost for so long, contained some memory of the past, something special that people need, something special to protect, like those tiny glass figures that you see at fairs and malls that seem to be so fragile, so easily broken by someone rough, but they are actually quite sturdy. It can survive for years and years, even when lost or hidden away, like the treasures at the bottom of the ocean, hidden deep down below, something precious and valuable inside, a part of you before, that belonged to you before, and the joy of its discovery, the recovery of that buried treasure, the pleasure of knowing it belongs to you, something you can bring back with you, that warm, good part of the heart of the matter. The children sometimes lose for a time, or have taken from them at another time, but it always lies there waiting to be brought back to the surface, where it can be touched and protected and enjoyed, and kept close with you forever now, because it all belongs to you. And so, before you allow yourself to drift up completely into conscious, wakeful alertness, it may be useful for you to utilize the time now to think about what you've experienced, the thoughts, images, understandings, and how you might use these later on, from one day to the next. Because you have an unconscious mind, and you have a conscious mind, and those two minds can learn from your experiences today some things you can utilize to deal more effectively with those things that have been problems for you before. And so, before you continue to drift up into conscious awareness, normal wakeful awareness, it is your privilege to use this comfortable self-awareness to become more aware of those things you can use later on, those learnings, abilities, and skills you may have overlooked before, to give you a new view of the possibilities for a new way of thinking and feeling and doing things. That's right. Take some time now, a brief time that seems to be a long time, to review and plan, at some level of awareness, those things you will do later on, those things you may change later on, as you begin to use more and more of you. You can use that time now, because in a few moments from now, when you drift up and awaken, it may be interesting for you to know that in that drifting, relaxed state of mind, where thoughts drift by like dreams, then they enter awareness for a time, and drift through the mind, while some are left behind to be utilized later on, and others are remembered, or seem to be remembered at first, but then become more and more distant forgotten over time, and the entire experience can seem so far away, as your unconscious mind protects the conscious mind and leaves those things behind, forgotten but remembered too. And time changes too, so you can know what a trance it's been when you begin to know that what seemed to take a short time turns out to have been a long time, or what seemed a long time was really no time at all. So for now, as the unconscious mind allows the conscious mind to become more aware of sounds in the room, the sound of my voice, the sensations in an arm, a leg, the variety of thoughts and feelings as the conscious mind drifts up and conscious wakeful awareness returns quite completely now. Up to the surface of wakeful awareness, restfully refreshed, comfortably awake, even as the mind drifts up completely and the eyes are allowed to open now. That's right, eyes open. And wakeful awareness returns quite completely now.